In this lesson on my storyline, I have our happy biking kids again right down here. What I want to show you is the ability to change an area of the image, correct just one area as opposed to the whole thing. So I see these guys and they're kind of happy and they're biking along. Nice image. But number one, I look at it, especially as they start getting closer over here, and I'm thinking I would like to lighten it up a little bit in those shadow areas. And so I go into correction 1 and I click here. Go into exposure, pick up my shadow puck, P-U-C-K, and if I bring it up, and I'm using the arrow keys because I like precision, I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit, not a lot. You do too much, you're going to wash it out. I'm going to go over into my highlights and I'm going to do just a little bit there too. And I'm going to bring actually down on my midtones. Now anytime you want to look at this, come right back here again and turn it on and off. But the other thing to remember, which I absolutely love, is if you come back tomorrow and go, oh, man, what was I thinking? Now, the sun must have been on my monitor. I hope not, but, something happened, and I want to change it, of course. If you click this button right here, it will reset it. But now I look at the image, and you have to understand, it's been raining a lot around where I live. Everything is as green as I think I've ever seen it. And that grass needs to be greener. Well, I know how to do that. I come back over here again, and I go into saturation. Increase saturation. But the problem is I'm increasing the saturation of everything. And that's green. I like that green. But everything else is increasing. What I want to be able to do, let me reset that. I want to be able to just change the green. Now, the whole thing that's going to make this work for you is if there is a particular chroma value that you want to change. But I don't want to put it into the same correction as I did for the kids when I lightened them up. So I'm going to come up here and click this plus, and now I have a correction 2. 2 separate areas that I can control, and I'm going to click this button right here. Now that button right there allows me to add, I love these things, color masks, chroma masks, based on color. Click it. This opens up down here. The color mask right now by default is black. You have a softening option here that allows you to soften the transition between what you're changing and what you're not. And you have an eyedropper, which is selected by default for now. If I come over here and click, now I'm going to click and hold. Watch what happens. See how those light dots and where everything else kind of goes away? Those light dots are what's going to change. And you say, well, you didn't get all the grass. Well, click and drag. That's the secret. When you do, you select a bigger sample. So let's say we sample out to there and let go. But it didn't get a lot of stuff over here, did it? Hold the Shift key down and do it again until you see the areas that you want to change light. Everything else is masked out. You say, well, I notice it kind of got some of the sidewalk. Hold the Option key down and drag, and it will take away that part. So what I basically have done is said go into the greens based on the circle I made by dragging and use all the chroma values and luma values in that area and go throughout the entire image and just change those areas. So now we go here to this button and go into our boards, go into saturation. Watch what happens when I change now. It just changes those areas. That's kind of a cool effect. Total control over an area of an image based on its luma and chroma values using a mask. That is a very nice feature. Now let's go ahead and go back over here. Since we have 2 corrections, I'm going to go ahead and collapse this for now. There's our correction 1, and here is our correction 2. And the one other option, this right here, if you feel like the edges, the transition between where the green grass is and everything else is a little bit too harsh, you can come over here and you can very carefully soften it up. Total control. Now let's collapse this one. Let's turn it off. Go up here and make another one. In this one, I want to show you the other way you can make a mask, and that is with a shape. So if I click here, I create a shape. Now I can click here and drag out. That's the transition, kind of like the fade from where it works 100% to 0. I can come over here and I can click that button and make it more into, say, an oval. I can click this button right over here and make it more into a rectangle, I suppose, if I want to. Then I can click here, put it at an angle, and I can click here and I can move it. Now understand what's going on here. If we now go into the color board, if we decide, say, for example, to change exposure, only the interior goes into grayscale. You say, well, Andy, that's cool, but what I really would have liked to have done is control anything outside them and make that gray and spotlight them in the center with color. When you're working with the mask, even the previous one that we did on the grass, you have an inside and an outside option. So when I selected the grass, if I had decided I wanted to change everything but the grass, I would have selected outside right here and then changed it up here. And now we can fade the whole thing off into grayscale. Now we can still change things, move things around. We can come over here, maybe change that transition. It's not quite so soft. Bring that out just a little bit more this way and this way. Total control. So it's not just about color correction when you're working with the color board. It's about even doing specific color changes to the image to do what? To generate a mood and to attract people to what you want them to see. There is one other area I'll show you. Play around with this if you want. You do have presets, Alien Lab, etc. But if you like what you did, you can save it as your very own personal preset and use it over and over again.